Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Choosing a bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drink that's all flavor and just 100 calories? Easy. Choosing between creamy vanilla, double chocolate, and sea salt caramel flavors? A little harder. Try the delicious new Starbucks Frappuccino light drinks. Look for them wherever you buy groceries. Start with Starbucks coffee.
This podcast contains adult themes and language, and some of the things that we discuss may be disturbing to some listeners. In this podcast, we discuss sexual assault, torture, race, and murder. Listener discretion is advised. Please take care of yourself.
Welcome to Fruitloops, Buiti Binafi, and Bienvenidos Bitches. Thank you so much for listening. Fruitloops is a true crime, history, and comedy podcast that delves into the often overlooked stories of serial killers of color and, more importantly, the victims. We take deep dives into the lives and crimes of these killers worldwide, while also examining the history, culture, and social factors that may have influenced their actions. And the reason that we cover these crimes is because they often go unnoticed by the public. And why is that? Because in the simplest of terms, the news is racist. Allegedly.
And we are Wendy and Beth. She's Wendy, a Black Latinx woman, and I'm Beth, and I just happen to be white. That's just a little piece of who we are. Another piece is that although we are both fascinated by true crime, really fascinated by true crime, and we know a lot about it, keep in mind that we are not journalists, investigators, or psychologists, and the opinions expressed in this podcast are just that, our opinions.
Okay. Who are we talking about today, friend?
Well, this is our episode 253 about Miles Bryant, a Black man and former police officer who was convicted of kidnapping and murdering a 16-year-old girl in Georgia in 2022. So very recent, and also not a serial killer, but I think he could have been had he been allowed to keep going.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I shudder at the thought of...
Yeah. What this dude could have done.
He already did a lot of damage.
Yeah, a lot of damage, yeah. And this subject was suggested to us by Sonia at CrimeCon UK.
Hey, hip-hop air horn, Sonia, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, before we get into this case, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Nice.
Keeping busy, as always. And,
nice.
It's starting to warm up here in Arizona. So my grandson has been swimming every day. So
love it. What a bonus to have a grandma with a swimming pool. He is so lucky. Ooh-wee. I would have been at my grandma's house every day. Grandma, you need help with anything? Because I would love to go swimming.
It does keep him occupied and wears him out a little bit, so that's nice.
Yeah. That's one thing I miss about having swimming pools in my life
everywhere,
is that it's a really good way to tire out the littles.
It really is, yeah.
And I haven't lived in Arizona in a while. This time of year is when all of a sudden it's in the 90s and 100s.
Yeah.
How are you doing over there? Are you staying cool?
Yeah, it's not been too bad. Some days it's in the 80s.
The 80s.
But yeah, mostly it's in the 90s.
Okay.
I think it hit 100 one day, but it's not really topping out yet. So.
Okay.
How's it going over there?
It's beautiful. It's like I am Like, life is very simple, very predictable, but very safe.
Good.
Got my garden outside and been harvesting shit and eating stuff. And then we have our flock of 4 ducks and 2 turkeys and 2 geese. And the geese are really cool. I actually really enjoy them.
Really?
Yeah, they're named it's Leonard and Lavender, and they've imprinted on old Whitey, and he's obsessed with them. If he wasn't so private, I would share pictures with the Fruities because so they've imprinted on him and they follow him everywhere. So I work from home and I'm just chilling at my desk, looking out the window out at the street, and old Whitey is running around the house with 2 geese in tow, chasing him. And he does this all day long, just laps around the house with these 2 birds. And it's so freaking funny,
so
like
cute.
snuggles with them. Like I'll just look outside, they're like in his lap, he's feeding them berries and shit. It's really, really, really funny. And the kids love him, and like our dog, like all the animals. There's like this really wonderful harmony here with the people and the animals in my family and stuff. So it feels like I'm a Disney princess. So
awesome.
Yeah. So let's get into some listener letters, shall we?
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Well, hello, angels. Thank you.
What's in that bag, Beth?
Well, I wanted to say thank you to Han Branson and Ty52 for your 5-star reviews.
Yay!
Yeah,
thank
you. Really nice reviews.
Yeah.
And then also our fruity Lindsay, who sent us the sweetest note on Instagram while we were on break, and then followed it up by an email later on this week.
That's right. So, Lindsay, we just want to say thank you. And we took some time for ourselves, and we're back from the break. We're happy to be back and just super excited, and we're so grateful for all the fruities. Lindsay had a bun in the oven, I think we mentioned in a previous note, so we're very happy that our baby fruity is thriving and that mama is doing well, and we just hope for continued wonderfulness.
Yeah.
So thank you for
Congratulations,
rocking with us.
Lindsay.
Yeah. So hip hop air horns for Lindsay. All right. Okay.
And if you have any questions or comments, please send them to fruitloopspod@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 602-935-6294. And we may feature it on a future episode. But if you don't want us to, just let us know and we won't.
Yep, it's just a quick, hey, Beth and Wendy, how you doing? We love it. And we love to play them on the show. So, all right. No new Patreons this week, but we do want to remind everybody that over there on the Patreon, the water is wonderful.
Yes.
There's exclusive content, ad-free, monthly hangs with Beth and Wendy, merch, all kinds of stuff.
We're doing Video Club.
We are. So come and join us.
Yeah. And we welcome all our listeners to be a part of the conversation on Facebook or Blue Sky at FruitLoopsPod, or email us at fruitloopspod@gmail.com.
All right. And with that, let's take a quick break and we'll get into the story when we come back.
Build professional skills this semester with Adobe Creative Cloud and create standout work both in and out of the classroom. Save big on professional creativity tools. Students get 65% off Adobe Creative Cloud, including Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, Acrobat Pro, and 20+ creative apps. No matter what project you're working on, Adobe Creative Cloud apps can help you take it to the next level. Visit adobe.com/student to learn more.
We off?
30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes.
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree.
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet.
You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz.
Spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
All right, we're back.
Hello.
Hello. Remind us, Beth, who is our subject today?
Our subject today is Miles Bryant, a former Georgia police officer who is convicted of kidnapping and murdering a 16-year-old girl. This case garnered significant attention due to Bryant's position in law enforcement and the disturbing nature of the crime.
Yeah, it did get a lot of attention. I was in Georgia, so I recall
We
this
talked
case.
about it on one of our extra episodes.
Yeah, but I am only reluctant with the word significant only because I don't know if this got as much media attention as it should have. And that is part of the
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's move on to the love and light section of our show where we say rest in power to the victim whose life was cut short, and love and light to her family and loved ones, friends, classmates, and the communities left in the wake of this crime. So the victim is Susana Morales. She was a 16-year-old, beautiful young lady. She was her mother Maria's daughter and a sister to Jasmine Perez, and she was remembered as a loving and uplifting person. Susana attended Meadow Creek High School in Norcross, Georgia, and one source mentioned that she loved to sing, play piano, and had begun teaching herself to play the guitar and ukulele.
Oh.
Yeah. So now let's get into the setting. Take us there, Beth.
Well, the setting is Norcross, Georgia. While it's now part of the sprawling suburbs of Atlanta, Norcross was once a border region lying between two Native American nations, the Cherokee to the north and the Muskogee to the south.
In the late 18th and early 19th centuries, a series of treaties forced both nations to cede their lands to the U.S. government. This displacement culminated in the Indian Removal Act, which led to the tragic relocation of Native peoples to Oklahoma via the Trail of Tears in the late 1830s. By the way, I learned that this Trail of Tears, there was multiple, right? Like it wasn't just this one. It was,
right.
This happened
Everywhere.
in more than one place to more than one group of people.
Yeah.
But a subject we explored in detail in our episode on the Girl Scout murders. So check that out if you'd like more info.
Yeah. Norcross itself was founded in 1870 by Atlanta entrepreneur John J. Thrasher, who named the town after his close friend Jonathan Norcross, a former mayor of Atlanta and a key figure in the development of the region's railroads.
The town took root around a railroad stop, and the arrival of the railway became a catalyst for rapid growth. It transformed Norcross into an important hub for commerce and travel, attracting visitors and investment alike.
During this period, it also became a popular summer escape for Atlantans seeking relief from the heat. Grand hotels and stately homes soon followed, reflecting the town's growing prominence.
In the late 1800s and early 1900s, Georgia's economy revolved around agriculture, with cotton as its dominant cash crop. Get ready for Culture Corner with Beth and Wendy. So, although the cotton gin, patented in 1794, was intended to reduce labor, it had the opposite effect in the South. Isn't that crazy? These new technologies are like, yeah.
Let's get more.
Let's just do more. It reminds me of the Silicon Valley tech bros moving fast and breaking things.
Oh, yeah.
But different, obviously. Anyway, by dramatically increasing the efficiency of cotton processing, the machine drove up demand for enslaved labor and intensified the expansion of slavery. Oh, wait, there's more.
Culture Corner.
Hang on. Double Culture Corner. Here's a double Jeopardy tune, which every time I hear this tune, I leap out of my seat. So don't get it twisted that this American chattel slavery was just a Southern thing. I wanted to put this in there because I was frustrated by somebody this week who was like, oh, that was just a Southern thing. It wasn't. Cotton was a global commodity, and every part of the United States contributed to its trade and production, not just in the South. Just sort of have to think about this in terms of, everybody used cotton. And the economy of chattel slavery was not just a Southern institution. It was deeply entrenched in both the North as well as the South. And the South had the plantations and the black bodies. But the North had the factories and the shipping companies and the banks and the insurance companies and the lawyers and political support was from the North and all over the country. So to just classify American chattel slavery as a Southern problem is not accurate.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say that.
Yeah, the other places were supporting the southern.
Yeah, I mean, this is America. Capitalism is king. And anything that makes people money, even if it's at the expense of harming other people, that is super
For whatever
American.
reason.
For whatever who gives a
They're
fuck?
fine with it.
Yeah. And so this pattern is obvious to me throughout American and imperialist history.
Money is more important than
cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, y'all.
Yeah. So Norcross had a cotton gin, and each autumn harvested cotton was brought in to be processed, its seeds removed from the lint. The lint was then baled and transported via rail to Atlanta and other market centers, where it was sold to textile manufacturers. Together, the cotton gin and the railroad depot formed the backbone of Norcross's cotton economy.
Can I tell you that living in Arizona, I had never seen cotton fields before I moved there. And seeing it as a Black person was kind of traumatic.
Yeah.
Like, is this? Are we in America?
There's a lot of cotton fields in Arizona.
There are a lot of cotton fields in the Phoenix area. And I just remember being, it took my breath away. Like, what? This is still a thing?
Yeah.
Of course it is, because people use cotton. But just seeing, I'd never seen one in person.
Seeing it.
Right, just seeing a cotton field. I'm going to leave my trauma to the side. Anyway, Norcross also holds a rich but often under-recognized Black history. A story marked by resilience, leadership, and community strength. In fact, the Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church, which was founded in 1865 by freedmen, predates the city itself.
The church quickly became, and remains, a cornerstone of the community. A place for worship, gatherings, political meetings, and mutual support. Despite setbacks, including a devastating fire in 1920, the church grew and today serves over 8,000 members.
Wow.
And this is something I think that you have probably talked about before, but it never really hit me, how much the church was important to the Black community.
Oh,
Just mentioning all these things that happened at the church, it really kind of hit me. Like without the church, there's
was
no
Black
community.
Progress. Yeah. There's no
and that makes a lot of sense now why there's so many pastors and preachers involved in like the civil rights movement.
Yeah, absolutely, because these are the leaders that you go to for wisdom and support and strength, etc.
It's the community. They support the Black community. Who else is doing that? Nobody.
Right. Yeah, saving souls and a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
So over the decades, and gosh, we could do a whole episode about the Black church as an institution, and I love when we get to talk about it in
that kind of stuff,
these episodes every now and then. So over the decades, Norcross transformed from a small railroad town into a dynamic and diverse suburban city. And I can
attest to that.
Yeah, I wonder if we still would have been in Georgia if we lived in Norcross. Yeah. But a significant milestone came in 2017 with the election of Craig Newton, Norcross's first Black mayor and the first Black mayor of any city in Gwinnett County.
Which really shocked me because that's not that long ago, 2017.
No, it's
You would think it would have happened sooner than that.
Yeah, but I also have to mention this too, and I've said this before, not everywhere in the South is Atlanta. So not everywhere is as progressive.
True. So today, with a population of about 18,000, the city of Norcross is diverse, with Black residents making up about 24% of the community.
Fun fact, Norcross is historically known for its strong baseball heritage, particularly for producing a disproportionate number of professional baseball players. From 1910 through the 1950s, Norcross produced more professional baseball players per capita than anywhere else in the country.
That's wild.
Wow. Yeah. If you know other fun facts about Norcross, you know where to find us. Yes. So now we know about the setting, the place, the time, and the vibes, and let's get into the early life of Miles Bryant. Hit it, Beth.
Despite extensive media coverage of this case, specifically after the murder, we could not find any detailed information about Miles Bryant's early life. Although during one interrogation that I listened to, he mentioned that he was adopted. But we don't know anything more than that.
What we do know is that Bryant was born in the year 2000, and after high school, he spent some time in the National Guard. He started his law enforcement career in March of 2020 as a jailer with the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. And then in May in 2021, Bryant became a police officer for the Doraville Police Department.
Bryant also worked as a courtesy officer at his apartment complex. A courtesy officer provides surveillance and basic protection, theoretically, to residents and property, often in exchange for reduced rent or on-site housing.
Yeah, I mean...
This guy should not have been doing that.
No. And I also think that these courtesy officers are quite useless in terms of... I've never found one helpful.
I'm sure the apartment complex was like, he's a police officer. This is awesome, you know?
Yeah.
But a lot of them they don't even have any police experience, so...
They're more like, they're just security guards, essentially.
Yes,
yeah.
Right. But in any case, he should not have been doing this.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that this was his ministry.
No.
So many women have described disturbing behavior by Bryant. I was struck by that throughout my research in this case, like the nicknames they had for him, girl. So he attempted to break into the home of a 17-year-old girl with whom he attended high school, or attended school. I don't know if it was high school. And at the time, she was asleep in her bedroom when he tried to enter through a window.
Yeah, I think they were in high school at this time.
Okay.
It was in 2018. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, 17. Got it.
The police were called to the scene, and he claimed he had come to study with her. So he had to climb through the window, apparently.
Okay.
Although her parents chose not to press charges, he was issued a trespass notice and barred from the property.
Heck of a story that he cooked up, and I
makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
But between 2018 and 2019, Bryant broke into several teen girls' homes to steal their underwear. He also went into women's phones and sent compromising photographs and videos to himself without their permission.
They didn't know he was doing it.
They did not, which is such a terrifying idea.
Yeah.
That whatever you have on your phone feels so personal, and for somebody to go into it and send it to themselves or send it out.
Basically steal it.
Yeah, is what a violation. And so he did this to many women, including women that he served with in the National Guard.
One of these women was a Quick Trip manager who let Miles use her phone for a few minutes because he was a police officer. He then went into a hidden album on her phone and stole a naked image of her that he texted to himself.
Oh my gosh.
And that's what he would do.
Which feels like it should be a crime. And I don't know. And these cyber sexting laws are something
it's all over the place.
I'm unfamiliar with, but it seems like there should be.
It depends on the state.
Okay. Well, he also obtained many photos and videos of women from phones that he seized during arrests, which is not something police officers should do.
That's pretty fucked up, yeah.
He would take the phones from the suspects and search them, then send the photos and videos to himself.
And not only women, he would also take men's phones and search them for sexual content that they had on their phones.
That's just, what an abuse of power of his position as a police officer.
He also took videos of himself sexually assaulting his girlfriend while she was unconscious or asleep and without her knowledge. He also took videos of her showering without her knowledge.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
A woman named Alasha Bates was a high school acquaintance of Bryant's, and the two reconnected in 2022 when he called her to try and get back together with a friend of hers. He ended up coming around uninvited multiple times. No thank you, sir, which creeped her the fuck out. And she stopped returning his texts and his calls. And she had him listed in her phone contacts as Miles the Stalker.
Yeah.
So that's it for a little background on him. Let's get into the timeline. What, Beth?
In 2022, Bryant was living at the Sterling Glen Apartments in Norcross, Georgia, with his girlfriend, Synovia. The two were longtime friends who dated for a few years. However, at the same time, he was also dating another woman named Avian, who he called his side piece.
Aw, that's so gross.
Gross.
Fuck. this guy.
Yeah, he's so gross.
Not only is he doing criminal, awful things in terms of violating his position of power and women's privacy,
he's
etc.,
just a
but
terrible
he's just
person.
What an asshole. So their relationship began in September of 2021 and lasted a couple of years. According to Avion, Bryant would come to see her more often than she would go to see him, and she had suspicions that he was cheating on her.
Synovia and Bryant broke up in June of 2022, but continued to live together for a while at the Sterling Glen Apartments. 16-year-old Susana Morales did not live at the same apartment complex, but she lived nearby and she had friends who lived there.
Susana has been described as an uplifting person who was nice to everybody. On the evening of July 26th, 2022, after spending the day with her family, Susana asked for permission to visit her best friend, Esmeralda Rose Castillo.
Susana's mother, Maria, approved of her friend Rose, so she gave Susana permission to go to Rose's house, a few minutes' walk away. However, Susana did not go to see Rose. Instead, she went to see a couple of friends that her mother did not approve of, named Kelly and Alyssa. And this is typical teen behavior.
Right. Yes, it is. So Kelly and Alyssa lived at Sterling Glen Apartments, a 9-minute walk away from Susana's home. Susana met Kelly at Meadow Creek High School, and the two had been friends for about a year. Susana met Alyssa through Kelly, and the two had only known each other for about a month. According to Alyssa, they would sometimes smoke weed on the stairs outside of her apartment.
Alyssa knew Miles Bryant and that he was a cop. On July 20th, 2022, Alyssa said that he offered her, Susana, and Kelly alcohol and edibles, even though he knew they were underage. This is a cop.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Susana Morales' friend Rose also later recognized Bryant as someone who had once offered her and Susana a ride to the gas station, but they had declined.
Around 9:40 p.m., Susana texted her mother to let her know that she was on her way home. Kelly walked Susana back to the gate of Sterling Glen Apartments and saw her walking away in the direction of her home.
Security video from a daycare facility on Singleton Road nearby showed Susana walking along towards home. Axel Zaragoza, Susana's boyfriend, spoke to her over FaceTime several times that night. She had told him she would call him when she returned home, but she never called.
Lights, camera, innovation. Walt Disney Studios chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform the movie-making process. Together, we kept a remote production hub in Hawaii in sync with a team in California to bring Lilo and Stitch to theaters this summer. This is picture-perfect collaboration. This is Walt Disney Studios with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
One of Susana's friends had a Life 360 app on her cell phone, and Susana was sharing her location with that friend. Life 360 tracks location, but also uses phone sensors that can detect sudden changes in motion.
The app indicated that Susana was walking along Singleton Road from Windscape Village Lane in the direction of her home when suddenly she was moving at 40 miles per hour in the opposite direction. So the police believed she got into a car. Then there was a crash alert, which indicated that the phone had suddenly stopped.
This happened at Oak Lock Trace, a little less than a mile away from the Sterling Glen Apartments. Her phone then pinged at the location until it either died or was turned off. It's believed that Susana got into, or was forced into, a car, and then the phone was thrown from it. But her phone has never been found.
One of Bryant's girlfriends, not sure which one, there were other ones as well, later testified at his trial that she talked to Bryant that night at Oak Lock Trace, where Susana's phone had registered the Life 360 crash alert. She said that Bryant only cracked his window a little bit when she spoke with him, but that she didn't see anyone in the car with him.
By 10 p.m., Susana had not arrived home, and concern quickly grew. Maria called Rose, who spoke to Kelly and Alyssa, to find out where Susana was, but nobody knew where she was. Because of the Life 360 crash alert, the friend with the Life 360 app believed that she could have been involved in a crash.
So she got her sister and her sister's boyfriend, and they went to go to the supposed crash site. After they saw no trace of her, they went back home and continued to search for her the next day.
Just like the anxiety building, she is supposed to be home. Where is my child?
Right.
Susana was officially reported missing the next morning by her mother and sister. That same day, July 27th, Bryant filed a report claiming that his vehicle had been broken into and that his department-issued firearm had been stolen. Sometime later, Avion noticed scratches and a cracked mirror on his truck.
Months passed with no sign of Susana. A neighbor described Bryant at this time as, quote, very normal, smiling, laughing, just living his life, unquote. Yeah.
Susana's family has said that Gwinnett County Police Department did not take her disappearance seriously because they believed she was a runaway. And I think they presumed that because she got in a car. The family said they, quote, begged Gwinnett County Police to look for her, but they told us that people aren't considered missing until after 48 hours, unquote.
However, Gwinnett County Police claims that missing and runaway juveniles are investigated in the same way, and that they spent that summer and fall gathering phone data, interviewing people, and speaking to officials at Susana's school, as well as passing out a description of her and photos to all law enforcement agencies in the Southeast. In any case, the Morales family felt unheard, and they were searching for Susana themselves.
During this time, Bryant's high school acquaintance, Elisha Bates, was being stalked by a man. A neighbor's doorbell camera captured video of him trying to get inside her apartment several times. He even broke through her door when she wasn't home.
The man wore a hoodie concealing his identity, but in the fall of that year, Elisha was finally able to see the face of the man who had been stalking her, as captured on the neighbor's doorbell camera. It was Miles Bryant. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Oh my gosh. No, I wanted to mention, I'm only laughing because the
surprise,
part,
surprise.
This is,
That's why I'm
surprise. But I wanted to mention that, Elisha testified at the trial, but talking about frightened, she was visibly frightened when she was just looking at the footage that they played in court or playing her
freaky.
911 calls.
Yeah,
she was shaking. This is traumatic. This is terrifying.
Yeah.
So she grew increasingly frightened when she learned that Bryant was a Doraville police officer. She did end up reporting him to both the Doraville police and to Gwinnett County police. But the Doraville police claimed that there was no proof, it was Bryant, who was committing, quote, any of these crimes against Elisha Bates.
Actually, they said
unquote.
any crimes against Elisha Bates.
Oh, that he was committing.
The way that they said it, it sounded like, were there any crimes?
Crimes?
They were like, there was no proof that it was Bryant. First, there was no proof. And then, who was committing, quote, any crimes against Elisha Bates, unquote.
Yeah, so nothing to see here. Move along.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention Elisha Bates was a Black woman, and we've talked about in cases past where victims of color encounter these bad people before they do the most heinous things, before they go on to do even more awful shit and aren't listened to.
People are screaming that this guy is bad.
Hello?
And the police are like, oh, no, it's fine.
Nah,
it's fine.
I don't see anything.
He's cool.
He's cool with me. So, yeah.
But nevertheless, supervisors did tell Bryant about the stalking complaint. And after that, the behavior magically stopped.
Wow.
Jeez. But understandably, Elisha did not feel safe, and she bought a gun and installed her own security cameras.
On February 6th, 2023, 6 months after Susana Morales was reported missing, a man out off-roading discovered skeletal human remains in a wooded area approximately 20 miles from the location where Susana was last seen. And note, Susana's family, by this time, they had not heard a word, not a peep, from the Gwinnett County Police Department about their missing loved one. And when Susana's remains were found, the family was contacted, what seemed to them like out of the blue, to provide a DNA sample to help identify some remains that were found. And then also at this time, there was community activism to advocate for justice in Susana Morales' case and then bring more media attention to it. And there were many civil rights and activist groups like the Gathering for Justice, which, by the way, was founded by Harry Belafonte.
Ooh.
And Hispanic United Alliance in Gwinnett County, who also advocated for and supported the family. And they were active in organizing demonstrations and protests to sort of call out the Gwinnett County PD for what looked like some fuckery, because this girl is a brown girl. Why isn't anybody looking for her? And this is fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, they were not communicative with the family. The family felt abandoned, really.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So the remains were transported to the Gwinnett County Medical Examiner's Office, where they were confirmed to be those of Susana Morales. Due to the advanced state of decomposition and skeletonization, the medical examiner, unfortunately, could not determine the exact cause of death.
However, the absence of clothing or personal belongings with the remains indicated that Susana's body had been left naked in a secluded area of the woods. Given these factors, her death was listed as, quote, suspicious for homicidal violence, unquote.
Near Susana's remains, investigators found a firearm, which belonged to Miles Bryant, the same gun he reported missing the day after Susana disappeared.
Now let's get into the investigation and the arrest. So investigators obviously honed in on Bryant as a suspect. During the investigation, it was discovered that the cell phone records placed Bryant's cell phone in the wooded area where Susana's body was located the day after Susana disappeared and the day that Bryant reported his gun missing. Oh, got him.
It was also learned that Bryant searched some databases of license plate readers to see if and where his license plate had been captured in Gwinnett County. During questioning, he was confronted about inconsistencies regarding his missing service weapon and how it ended up near the remains of Susana Morales.
Well, you see, what happened was, you're cooked, sir. So on February 13th, 2023, Miles Bryant, who was 22 years old at this time, was arrested on suspicion that he had moved Susana's naked body into the woods after her death and lied to authorities about his involvement. He was charged with concealing the death of another and making a false report of a crime.
Bryant was immediately fired from the Doraville Police Department, and the department released a statement referring to him as a former officer and expressed their cooperation with the ongoing investigation by the Gwinnett Police Department. Not long afterwards, Bryant was hit with additional charges, including murder and kidnapping.
I have to think that part of the delay in charging him with murder and kidnapping initially, I mean, it would have made the police department look so bad if their employee was charged with this shit, you know? So
it could be, but I also think it might have been just, they want to get him off the street, so they're going to charge him with this charge first, and then once they have enough proof of the other charge, they'll charge him with that.
So when Alasha Bates saw news reports that Miles Bryant had been arrested and charged in Susana's case, she was stunned, saying to her mother, quote, "It could have been me," unquote.
It very well could have been her.
Absolutely. What other conclusion would
you make?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's get into the trial. Hit it, Beth.
Bryant was charged with malice murder, felony murder, kidnapping, criminal attempt to commit rape, and false report of a crime. Ahead of jury selection, Bryant rejected a plea offer from the prosecution, which was dumb.
I think it is really stupid, but I also think he is so confident in himself. Seriously. He is.
The interrogation tape I listened to, he was super confident. They presented him with the evidence and he was just like, "No, I didn't do that."
Aw, come on, bro. Now, Beth, you normally don't like listening to these guys talk and pontificate.
No.
How did you get through it?
I was how did I get through it? I was trying to get more information about his early life. I was like determined to get more information, so I listened to it to find that kind of information. But
wow, thank you for the work you did. You
didn't get much.
I know, gosh. So when the trial began on June 5th, 2024, jurors heard from Susana's mother, Maria, who tearfully recounted the night her daughter didn't answer her calls and never came home, as well as the painful several months of not knowing what happened.
The jury also heard testimony from Bryant's mother, his ex-girlfriends, and a cellmate. Gwinnett County Police Lieutenant Javier Biggers, one of the key investigators in Susana's case, testified, breaking down in tears multiple times while on the stand.
Wow. He said he neglected his family to keep looking for Susana and followed up on every lead Susana's sister Jasmine informed him about. He discussed how he spent many late nights canvassing and searching for Susana, and he felt a particular connection to the case, believing the teen was taken against her will.
Lieutenant Biggers said, quote, "The anguish and sadness that the mother felt touched me deeply. I have a daughter about the same age, and my wife is Hispanic. I felt it was my duty to try to find her, being a parent, and very worried about your child," unquote.
I felt a way about this quote when I first read it. It sort of reminded me of as a man with a wife who's a woman, or, know, when
that kind of thing.
Men try to explain away sexism. But I was glad that he said all of those things to let us know I saw her as a human being from day one, period. I think we all should automatically do that. But
we should.
Don't. So I'm glad he explained why he wanted us to understand that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of times people don't understand unless they see something of themselves in somebody else.
Yeah.
And he saw something of his family in this, what was going on with Susana.
We're glad he did, because he didn't give up on trying to get to the bottom of the case.
Right. But we should see everybody, every person as valuable and worth searching for and spending this much time trying to find.
You said it so beautifully. So phone evidence showed Bryant searched for news stories about Susana's case, including about investigators' discovery of the victim's body, and that he also searched, quote, "How long does it take a body to decompose?" unquote, and, quote, "How are you ID by dental records?" unquote.
That's not suspicious
moves.
At all. Yeah.
No.
Don't
he
be
did some
suspicious.
Really... Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Yeah, for a police officer, he did some really dumb stuff.
Yeah. Don't they go to an academy to learn how to do this job?
Because the medical examiner was unable to determine how Susana died due to the condition of her skeletal remains, Bryant's attorney told jurors the victim may have died of a drug overdose, and the prosecution's case was based solely on circumstantial evidence.
It's annoying, but I think if anybody was doing their job trying to defend this person, they'd have to say that. Yeah, that's the system.
Shopping is hard, right? But I found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And he sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what works and send back the rest. It's so easy. Make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
But during closing arguments, defense attorney Tracy Drake admitted Susana was with Bryant in his vehicle that night and claimed the defendant lied about losing his gun in the woods because he feared for his job.
I was stunned when I read that.
That's a bad. Oh man! Yeah. If you are the guilty and get this man the electric chair. What? Worried about his job more than a human that he's supposed to protect and serve as law enforcement? Fuck out of here.
Yeah. Drake stated that didn't make him a killer, saying, quote, "We do know that Miles left her in the woods. We don't know if she was unconscious at that time or if she was dead. We don't know that he did anything to her to cause that, unquote.
And on June 12th, 2024, Miles Bryant, now 23, was found guilty on 4 of 5 counts. He was convicted of malice murder, felony murder, kidnapping, and concealing the death of another. But he was not found guilty of criminal attempt to commit rape. He was also convicted of filing a false report over allegations he lied and said his gun had been stolen.
And I think the only reason that he was found not guilty of the rape was because there wasn't enough evidence.
Sure.
But, yeah, he probably did it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was just thinking of the patterns. His pattern of behavior, as we sort of talked about in his early life and the timeline, is that he had a pattern of sort of sexually inappropriate behavior and crossing boundaries. And I just, based on what we know he did in the past, I don't think it's unreasonable to speculate that she was sexually assaulted, although we don't have proof.
We don't have proof, So that's why.
Yeah.
Anyway, following the guilty verdicts, Special Prosecutor Brandon Delphant stated that Bryant deserved the maximum punishment, calling him a predator, a monster, and what goes bump in the night.
Oh. During the sentencing hearing, members of Susana Morales' family gave emotional victim impact statements, and they had me in tears. They expressed gratitude for the conviction, but shared that the pain of her loss continues to haunt them daily.
The judge, visibly moved, spoke directly to Susana's mother, expressing hope that she might find some measure of comfort, if not full closure.
When given the chance to speak, Bryant offered a very brief statement to the courtroom, quote, "I just want to apologize to everybody, to the victim's family. That's it," unquote.
Whoops, my bad.
Yeah, he could have not said anything. I mean, we just didn't need it.
No. Judge Adkins imposed a life sentence without the possibility of parole for the murder charges, along with an additional 12-month sentence to be served consecutively for filing a false report.
Mm-hmm. Now that's it for the case. Where are they now? Well, Bryant is currently incarcerated at the Georgia Diagnostic and Classification State Prison, GDCP. It's a Georgia Department of Corrections prison for men located in Butts County near Jackson.
Susana was survived by her mother and sister. They expressed their anguish and suffering they've endured during their victim impact statements. The family and community called for changes in police procedures for missing minors, so this doesn't happen to anyone else. The pain and impact this disappearance and murder has had on the family and the wider community is profound and still persists.
All right, so that's it for the case. We're going to get into our thoughts. Feel free to let us know what you think. Beth, what do you think?
So it's hard to know what went wrong with this guy when we know nothing about his childhood. But I don't know how he ever became a police officer.
Yeah, it's kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, his behavior as a teenager, especially the incident when he tried to break into that girl's bedroom.
Sure.
And he was trespassed from the home. That should have alarmed police.
Yeah.
You know, when they were looking to hire him.
Yeah.
I know that they didn't find out about the photos and videos that he stole from the women's phones until they were investigating Susana's murder. But Elisha's report about his stalking behavior should also have alarmed them, you know?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I think this guy probably would have become a serial killer had he not been caught. He had all the hallmarks.
Yeah, just sort of, again, considering the patterns.
Yeah.
It's hard to ignore what we as true crime consumers understand to be so commonplace when this is the pattern that precedes something like a serial murderer.
Yeah.
But I wholeheartedly agree with you, Beth. Wow. The acts of this police officer were treated like he was just one bad apple. It was like the Gwinnett County Police Department just refused to be like, well, there's nothing really wrong with how we do policing. Like, police are still good. It's just this one bad one. And that just feels so not accurate.
And then they just wash their hands of him immediately. But, they had not done anything when Elisha complained about him. So fuck those guys.
Nothing other than saying, hey, do you mind not doing that anymore?
Yeah.
And it just seems it just absolutely not enough. Just clearly it's a systemic thing. And I know that there's that thin blue line bullshit and, back the blue and what do they call it? The blue veil of silence or whatever, all this systemic stuff. And, reporting bad cops is not easy to do for a civilian. But Alasha Bates did what she had to do to reach out to the right departments. She called more than one department and conveyed that she was being harmed and this could lead to harm to others in the community. I was struck by the multiple failures of the multiple systems.
Yeah.
Especially the one about reporting missing and murdered kids. And I mean, if she was a minor, I'm just so frustrated that they refused to let the family file a missing persons report immediately.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Right, because time is of the essence and opportunities for a better outcome were lost. And I think that's on law enforcement.
Yeah, for sure.
They seem to conclude that because she got in this car, that she was just a runaway.
Yeah.
But if Susana Morales was, Suzanne O'Brien, a 16-year-old white girl who went missing, my sense is there might have been a different sense of urgency. At the time Susana was missing, there were other missing and murdered Latinx people in the community who were not given the care that the community felt they deserved from the police department and
not
criticized the police department for their track record for sort of, again, we're in this case with similar circumstances and troubling outcomes. And I think there are fair criticisms against the Doraville PD. There was no investigation into the Bates case before Susana's death, but there sure as shit one after.
Yeah.
And the Fall Line, which is an amazing podcast, which we've shouted out many times before. I'm going to do it again. Did an amazing job putting out an episode about this case kind of in the midst of when the trial was happening. And they got audio of press conferences and audio of the protests. And one person I heard speak, I can't remember who said this, but it was something along the lines of, everyone in this place, how many of you have kids? Okay, so imagine if your baby was missing for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes, an hour, a day, 2 days, a week, a month, 2 months. And I just thought, this exercise is just an exercise, but unimaginable for me.
Yeah.
It really put it into perspective for me. I don't understand this pain, this loss, but it is unimaginable. Susana really seemed like she had an amazing family and friends who loved her a lot, deeply. And in an instant, she was gone from their lives. And my heart breaks for her mom and for her sister and everybody who loved her. And just rest in paradise to Susana Morales.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get into the next part of our show about how not to get murdered.
Okay.
If you love true crime and you don't want to die, here's a tip for you.
This segment is not intended to be victim blaming. We thought of this segment because I read somewhere that a lot of people listen to true crime because they want to know what they can do to be safer. This is not meant to blame the victims. It's just learning from other people's experiences.
All right, so this feels super dark, but necessary. My thoughts were that Susana's family did everything right? They checked with friends.
Yeah.
They were looking, using the tech with the apps and social media. And they went to law enforcement right away. And they got help from the community to uplift the story of their case and push law enforcement to act. And I think that despite the horrific outcome, they did everything that they, as individual citizens,
could
think to do in this situation.
Yeah.
So all that to say, I think if, God forbid, any of us was in this position again, that's what I think would be the right thing to do. But I wanted to add some additional tips to the toolkit if, God forbid, this happens to you or someone you love. Fuck what you heard. Don't wait 24 hours for someone under 18 to report them missing to law enforcement. Ask law enforcement to immediately enter your child's information into the National Crime Information Center, NCIC, and ask law enforcement to create a missing person profile. There's no waiting period or any bullshit like that, so don't let them tell you that. It's a lie. Ask for a case number and an investigator. Inquire about a BOLO. Be on the lookout signal that they put over the airwaves. And ask about FBI involvement. We learned that you can't just snap your fingers and ask the FBI to get involved in a case, but if there's mysterious circumstances or a kidnapping suspected, they are supposed to get involved. And after talking to law enforcement, also call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That's NCMEC for short. And they have a hotline. And we'll put the number in the description box, but it's 1-800-THE-LOST. And what they do is provide support and resources and help with creating and distributing missing person posters and media. So last few tips, keep your own detailed record of communications and anyone involved in the search. Be sure to contact missing children organizations like Black and Missing Foundation and keep this stuff in mind and consider seeing how you can support organizations like this that support families who find themselves in these awful situations.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of stuff at you, but it'll be in the description box. Okay.
Well, thanks.
You got anything to add?
Nope. That was good.
Okay, cool. Now it's shout out time. We shout out any content by people of color or about people of color or any true crime goodies. I have 2.
Okay.
As I mentioned, the Fall Line Fabuloso show. And this episode about this case dropped May 3rd, 2023. And it's titled The Disappearance and Murder of Susana Morales. And then also a summer reading list. If you're building your summer reading list, I read this book and loved it. I am now obsessed with the color blue. It's called Black in Blues by Imani Perry. And it traces the history and symbolism of the color blue from the indigo of the slave trade to Coretta Scott King's wedding dress, to present day cobalt mining. And it just talks about how the color blue is woven throughout the history and stories and lives of Black people throughout the world.
Wow, that sounds really interesting.
It was so beautiful. It was like a delicious read. So anyway, what do you got?
I wanted to shout out a TV show on Netflix, and it's called North of North.
Oh.
It's a comedy. It's actually a Canadian comedy.
Love it.
About a young Inuk woman in the small fictional Arctic community of Ice Cove. And it's funny, it's cute, and there's a lot of cultural stuff that I love learning about. So, yeah, it's a good show.
Hey,
Very light.
I love this.
Yeah.
You don't have to say any other words, Beth. I'm already looking for it. I'm going to recap these shout outs for the Fruities listening. That is the Fall Line, a specific episode, The Disappearance and Murder of Susana Morales, and a book. You can get audiobook, you can get a paperback, hardback, whatever. I listened to it on Libby. It's called Black in Blues by Imani Perry. And also a program on Netflix called North of North. And I'm going to go watch it right now.
It's very uplifting.
Yeah, that's all I need. Medicine for the soul. Medicine for the soul.
Yes.
All right. Well, where can the people find us?
Our website is fruitloopspod.com, and we use Fruit Loops Pod for all of our social media. The footnotes for each episode can be found on our website. Plus, check it out for the different ways that you can support the show. You can also join us on Patreon, where we have hundreds of hours of bonus content. You can also support us by supporting our sponsors, or by giving us a 5-star review.
5 stars only, please.
Don't forget to subscribe.
That's right. Now, this is a weekly podcast, and episodes drop on Thursdays. So until next time, look alive, y'all. It's crazy out there.
Okay.
Good call. All right. Well, my dear, are you
Shall we go?
ready to
I'm
go?
ready.
You're ready to begin.
I'm ready.
You're ready to to begin the show?
I am. Let's do it.
My
The
dear.
show. Yeah.
Yes, let's record this show.
All right.
Okay. I don't know where we are. And oh my gosh, what's going on with the buttons today? They're fired.
Oh. What is it doing?
I don't know. It's just freezing.
It's doing like one horn.
Yeah. Here we go.
All right.
All right. Okay. Oh, can
That
you still
doesn't
hear
mean-
me?
Yeah.
Okay, my internet connection went a little bit unstable, so I wanted to make sure.
Unstable?
Unstable. Quick sip. Oh, I'm also learning I can make my own teas from stuff I grow. Are you
Ooh,
kidding
how
me?
Sweet.
I know.
That is
Anyway.
awesome.
Yeah. Did you hear about this stuff? It's called nature and seeds. And if you
Nature?
put them in
What?
the dirt and like
They
water them,
grow?
stuff comes. It's crazy, girl. Oh my God.
Are you still there? Hello?
Hello? Security video from a
Nope,
daycare.
that's me.
Oh, what the fuck am I doing? Oh my
I
God.
don't know. I
I'm
do
so
that
into the
sometimes,
story.
too. Yeah,
Oh.
just keep going.
Can I tell you something? I this week have had a hell of a time. I feel like I'm not communicating. I'm not making any sense when words come out of my mouth. And I was like, is Mercury in retrograde or reggaeton or whatever? No, my brain is just foggy. Anyway, continue.
Rejected a plea offer to serve the maximum punishment. Yeah,
Don't
he
be
did some
suspicious.
really.
Don't be
Don't be
suspicious.
suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Okay.
All right.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Love you too. Bye.
Okey doke.